All right. Well, welcome everybody one more time. Come on in, get settled, get comfortable. This is going to be an amazing session. My name is Brianna Membres with SheEdits LLC. You've heard me say it. If you've been following me for any amount of time, you already know graduate debt free with SheEdits LLC. I am thrilled to be on the call tonight. I love giving value. I love being able to help other people graduate debt free. So if you don't know, if you're new to SheEdits, I was blessed with over $50,000 in grants and scholarships. I graduated debt free from IUPUI, which stands for Indiana University, Purdue University of Indianapolis. I graduated with my degree in education. I taught fifth grade, absolutely loved it, loved it, loved it. But I decided to come home and do SheEdits full time. So we offer the full range of scholarship services to high school and college students and their families, anybody who is going to college, anybody who wants to go to college and wants to do that without any debt. We are here for that. All right. So graduate debt free with SheEdits LLC. If you need scholarship assistance, we are more than happy to help. So just hit us up. You can take our free master class. It gives a ton of valuable content. So if you just go to our website, SheEditsLLC.com, SheEditsLLC.com, you can go ahead and take that master class. So far, we've been able to help students around the country, not just in Indianapolis, but around the country, win over $475,000 in grants and scholarships and award money. I'm so excited. Literally, a parent emailed me today saying his daughter just got $25,000. I haven't even posted it yet because he just emailed me like I was out this morning and I got the email while I was out. And so super excited. We're climbing up. And so please, we would love to be able to help you take the free master class and stay on the call tonight because this is going to be amazing. So I'm going to get out the way and I'm going to introduce our very, very, very special guest. This is Oseye Boyd. Oseye has a son who graduated completely debt-free from Indiana University. She also has a daughter who is about to be a freshman in college, and her daughter has almost enough to graduate debt-free. So Oseye has the parent knowledge, okay? You guys know, if anybody knows me, you know I have two little ones. They are 2 years old and 10 months old. So even though I can explain how I graduated debt free from a student's perspective, I'm not there yet on the parenting end. Okay. So I wanted to pull in somebody who's done it, somebody who successfully had a college student go to school and come out without any debt. We talked a few weeks ago and it was an absolutely incredible conversation. And so I had to share. All right. So welcome, Oseye. Thank you for being on here tonight. How are you?
Thank you so much for having me. Wow, I hope I can live up to
Oh yeah.
the great introduction.
Absolutely. So I'm just going to let you have it. The conversation that we had a few weeks ago was just amazing. You gave so much value. I'm actually going to mute my mic. If I
Oh
have to
my.
jump in, I'll unmute it. But just tell us how you as a parent were able to get a child, almost two children, through school without any student loan debt. You know, give us all the secrets. And then everybody who is in the comments, or everybody who's watching rather, if you have any questions, if you have any feedback that you want to give, absolutely put it in the comments. The more engagement, the better. And we will make sure that we get your questions answered. Okay. So I see a few more people. Welcome, Chris. Welcome, Patricia. Love it. All right. Well, Oseye, I'm going to stop talking and I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you.
Okay, I thought you were going to ask me some questions. So
Okay. Yes, I got you. So
let
we'll
me
start with the
kind
first.
of, I guess,
That's
go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. I was just going to say, so we can start if we want to do that style, that's totally fine. So I guess my first question would be, when did you start the scholarship process for Deonta? I didn't say his name. So when did you start that and what were the first steps that you took?
Well, I think we really started like junior, senior year, but you're kind of building up to that before you get there. You have a plan of we need scholarships. So you're kind of preparing and figuring out what do you need to do. So I try to put him in positions early on that would garner him a scholarship opportunity. When we talked on the phone, I said, we have to invest. You have to invest. You have to invest your time. And a lot of times you're going to invest money to be able to get that money for scholarships. He ended up going to Park Tutor, and I figured that was going to be the opportunity for him to get scholarships. My daughter, that's not her journey. She played volleyball. He did not get athletic scholarships. He had academic scholarships, and she has partial athletic scholarship and some other scholarships too. So she's not getting academic stuff. But when we talk, one of the things I stress, and I stress to every parent I meet, don't just get caught up in sports. Don't get caught up, and I say that as someone whose daughter is going to school on a partial volleyball scholarship. But that was never the goal. That was never the goal, because I never saw either one of them being athletes playing at the collegiate level. He always played sports, but he was never that star player. He was someone who enjoyed sports, and I knew we had to figure something else out. And I started recognizing, because of my position, I was an education reporter for a newspaper in Indiana. I started seeing all the scholarships that were out there, and how many kids are getting scholarships, and how many of those kids don't look like us. And I saw early on, when he was in elementary school, who got awards. And I remember saying, Deonta, watch, it's going to be the same kids who get awards all throughout school. Now, he didn't graduate with those same kids, but I can pretty much guarantee the same kids were getting awards, because it's usually how you start is how you finish a lot of times. And so we often, as parents, don't really realize how much work it takes to get them in that right position. And you have to start early on. And for him, he applied for several scholarships, but we were really blessed. He received the Lilly Scholarship, and I knew to apply for that through CICF. I knew to have him apply for that, because again, my position in education, I saw various scholarships, and I saw Lilly had one girl per county, one boy per county, and I never saw any Black kids winning this ever. And I thought, shoot, Deonta, you better apply for this. And Lilly pays for your tuition. It covers tuition to a Indiana public school, or the equivalent at a private school, and then it gives you a book stipend. Now, part of the deal is you agree to live in the state of Indiana for a year or something like that, and you have to keep track of your book stipend. You have to actually fill a form out at the end of every semester and turn it back in to Lilly. But those things are not, that's a little ask for a whole lot of money. That's a whole lot of money. And then what I didn't realize is that once you're enrolled in school, once you've been accepted and you say, I'm going, they'll start finding money for you as well. Schools will try to find merit scholarships for you, especially if you have good grades and you're active in a bunch of different things. Kids need to be well-rounded. Well-rounded kids get the money. So after he got accepted in the IU and said he was going, he ended up getting the Hudson and Holland Scholarship. We didn't know anything about it. It just that one fell into our laps. It was for minority students. And so we used that one to pay for his room and board. So when Deonta went to school, he owed absolutely nothing. Everything was taken care of. Book stipend, tuition, room and board. And room and board, obviously, that includes your meals. So he didn't have to worry about food. He didn't have to work at all during school. He came home and worked in the summer to save up some money for the year. But he actually, he lived in the dorm freshman year. He freshman and then he joined a frat. He lived in a frat house sophomore and junior year. Then he rented an apartment. Some friends, they rented an apartment that senior year. And so that money paid for all of that still. It still paid for his housing that senior year, even though he moved out and lived in an apartment off campus. So he didn't owe anything at all. And it was just, it was just I cried. I cried when we learned it was going to be taken care of, it was going to be paid for. I cried because we didn't know how we were going to make it happen, but I knew it was going to happen some kind of way. And I just stayed on him about applying, and I knew he had good grades. He was pretty much an AB honor roll student, and took a lot of hard classes. So, and I realized academics is where most of the money is, and so yeah, I didn't have he doesn't have to worry about paying any student loans back. That's never even been a thought for him. And so he's trying to get his sister there as well. So I think I told you that he bought her for Christmas one year, he bought her a scholarship book. She was not happy with this gift. But I understood it. I understood its worth. And as she started flipping through it, she started to understand its worth too. And then through that, she recognized there are scholarships for just about any and everything. Just about anything you're into, there's a scholarship for it. We often just don't have that knowledge about what's out there. And we get so wrapped up in one particular type of scholarship that we miss so many scholarships. People are really like trying to give money away. They really, really want to give money away. And you hear this and you think, yeah, right. But people really are looking for kids to apply to certain scholarships. And sometimes kids may think, oh, that's $500. That's nothing. That will probably cover most of your books. That could help cover your meal plan.
Absolutely.
These
Things,
things you have to look like.
all of that.
Any little increment amount will help you when it comes to school. You're going to, like I tell my daughter, you're used to me buying all your toiletries, your personal items. You're going to need that stuff. So anytime you can have a little bit of money to take care of those things, that's going to help you. You're going to need all the things you need at home, or all the things you're going to need when you're away. You're going to need to brush your teeth. You're going to need to wash your face. You're going to need whatever, shampoo, all that stuff, color for your hair, anything you want to do at home, you're going to need it. So you're going to need money. And this is free money that you can get with only a little bit of effort. I mean, they're not writing the essay is not asking too much.
I remember I made a post this morning to exactly what you were saying about the little bit of work to the big result. And I said, imagine you spent 4 hours working on a scholarship. So writing the essay, gathering the materials together, and let's say you win that scholarship for $1,000. That's $250 an hour. Where else are you going to make that kind of money? So I'm glad that those are the kind of things that you are, that you were teaching, Deonta and your daughter, and to get their mind frame a little bit different.
Well, and I like that you break it down like that, because when you break it down like that, you think about where else are you going to get this kind of money? And you don't, and most kids don't want to. I remember my son saying, I remember Deonta saying, I was like, oh, you need to write this scholarship. You need to, I was like, oh, I don't want to do another one. But once you get that essay together, you have that essay and you just tweak it for the scholarship. You don't have to write a whole nother essay every time. You just go through and you tweak it. I mean, everything is on your computer now. Unlike back when I was a kid, you had to type everything on a typewriter. Oh, geez. You go in and you can save multiple ones. You can have all these different ways of, so you can just go in, okay, here's what you need. Bam, got it, done, sent it. Pay attention to the deadlines. That is one of the things that I shared with you for Deonta. He applied for the Lilly, but his guidance counselor had to do her part. And I reminded him the deadline said, this is the deadline. Today's the deadline. It needs to be in by such and such time. And he was like, yeah, okay, Mom. I'm like, no, go talk to the counselor. Make sure she has her part done. Oh, Mom, I don't have to worry about it. She's going to take care of it. Boy, if you don't go in there and make sure that teacher, that guidance counselor has sent your form in, and it's a good thing I did it, because she almost forgot. She literally said, Deonta, I almost forgot. And so I was like, oh. So then when we got it, it was even more of a surprise because it came in right under the deadline.
Damn.
So it was like, whoa, thank you. And that's
Right.
something I work on my daughter's remembering. So I put the deadlines in my phone on my calendar to remind her of the deadlines because kids are busy. She's busy and she's not the best with time management. So I made her do the work, but I reminded her, this scholarship is due. This one's due. Did you remember this was due? Have you filled the form out? Have you got this in? Do we need to go mail it? What do I need to do? So she would often send me, I need to print this. I need for you to print this. So I would print that work.
One thing, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I would print that work and send it back to her, and then she would go ahead and mail it. Because some people still in this day and age want actual physical.
Every once in a while, I'll see that there is a scholarship I was just looking at a few weeks ago, and it's like you have to have it postmarked by this day. I'm like, it's 2022, but
that's
hey,
what I said. I was like, who is doing this?
People still are. I know it's out there. So I want to touch on one thing or a couple things that you said. So one word that you mentioned earlier was positioning, and I know that's one of the discussions we had over the phone is setting him up for success before senior year. So I know that there were different things you were involved in, different extracurricular activities. You also talked about the importance of having well-rounded kids. And so, and I always tell this, I wasn't I wasn't a genius student. I didn't have the 4.0 GPA. I didn't have all of the accolades, but one thing I did have on my side was community service. And I served a lot. I was always volunteering somewhere, always signing up for something, always building those relationships and getting involved in the community. And that plus, my good grades, plus just like the grace of God and the hard work that I put in consistently applying, a lot of those added up to my graduating debt free. So can you talk a little bit about the positioning and what parents should be doing? Because I know like the bulk of the work, should ideally be on the student, but what should the parents also be doing to set their student up for success?
Well, first of all, you don't have to be a genius. That community service did wonders, and that's setting you up for scholarship money for the win, because we don't understand the value in community service on your application, on your resume. When you're applying for a scholarship, when they see that you give back, that is huge. That is huge for people. When they see that, okay, maybe this student, most of them have like a 2.0. You need to have at least a 2.0. That's a C. That's not that much. That's not that hard to get a C. But when you have a 2.0, then you're involved in this extracurricular activity. Then you also do community service. You go and you help and you feed people or you do whatever. They like seeing that stuff because you have to be someone who is not just a one-track mind. And I saw that early on. There are those kids who just do that and they're able to get scholarships. But when you open yourself up to other things, people really, they like that in college admissions. And they like that in scholarship opportunities. And you don't know, there's so many scholarships. I think I told you my daughter found one for tall people. There's tall chapters throughout the country. We don't have one in Indiana, but she's 6'2", almost 6'3". So she was like, if we live someplace else, I could get a tall scholarship. She played piano at one point in time. She played instruments, so she could get scholarships for those things. There's like, we just found some oddball scholarships. So you think, CICF, go to their website, stay on their website, see how you fit in. There are scholarships for particular people, for particular jobs, particular tracks. They want, you must go to this school and do this thing, and then you're awarded a scholarship. There are scholarships for students who are going to HBCUs, and people aren't applying. People are not applying. There are a lot of things out there that we miss. So when we talk about positioning, it's also thinking about it early. thinking about how do I make my child have the most opportunities that he or she can have, and graduate debt free, because college keeps going up. It's not going down, unfortunately. It keeps rising. I think about how much college cost when I was in school and how much college costs now. And I think what it costs now is kind of like per year is what it costs for me the whole 4 years. So how do you navigate that? I think paying attention to how much school costs. Like, where are they thinking about going? Are they thinking in-state or out-of-state? Just kind of looking around and seeing what the cost is, public or private. There's a big difference in public and private. But private can also give a lot of money to help. They give a lot of merit scholarships to help you be able to afford that. Then, and I also like nowadays, there's a lot of, there's with my daughter, there was a lot of assistance of here's where you are. Here's what I don't think I had that so much with my son. Schools now are really trying to work with parents to see how to make this affordable. What can we do? Other opportunities for you to be able to afford school. So that's something too, you ask questions of the financial aid people. Maybe if your child wants to go to IU or IUPUI, which is going to be split in two, IUPUI is going to be IU Purdue. So if your child is thinking about those schools, maybe start reaching out to financial aid people and getting some connections early and seeing, okay, what should I be thinking about doing now to set my son or daughter up for to make college accessible? Because it seems so scary to so many of us, because you hear about how much it costs. That's what you hear. Ooh, college costs so much. And if you're not going to use your degree, what's the point of going? Use that money for something else. But I think college, and everyone does need to go to college, but you need to go do something. You need to get some kind of education. So maybe you go to Ivy Tech. But I think there are a lot of benefits to going to a 4-year school. There are a lot of opportunities to become a well-rounded person as well, meet new people. So, but you have to set yourself up to that opportunity. So like I said before, when Deonta started going to park tutor, I knew that was my investment for him for college. When my daughter started playing volleyball, that was my investment for her to go somewhere. We have to think, and it's an investment in time as well. These scholarships don't
Please
fall out
speak on
the air.
that. Please speak on the investment of time. I love that.
Well, because they don't just fall into your lap out thin air for the most part. You have to, the investment of money and time starts earlier. It starts, so taking my son back and forth to private school, that was an investment in time. He didn't have a bus to take him back and forth to school. You have to invest in those things, and what else is going to make your child be to look good on paper, because that's what they're looking at your kid on paper. And then sometimes scholarships do have interviews too. So if you are interviewing, how are we setting our students up so that they can do well in an interview? Look people in the eye, proper grammar, these things, firm handshake, all these things that we know that you need for a job, you still need in this area. Those things are very important when you do these interviews. It makes a child who can speak to an adult and look them in the eyes. They stand heads above other children who are kind of looking down and mumbling, and they're like, well, yeah. And kind of back to community service. So when my daughter, she got a scholarship to the Boys and Girls Club. I don't know if people know the Boys and Girls Club gives scholarships. You have to be a member for 3 years. That's it, 3 years. And it's a nice chunk of change. It's a nice chunk of change. I don't want to tell everybody what it is because I don't want people all in their pockets, but it's a nice little amount of money. And she had an interview, and with a group, it was a committee. She had an interview with the committee. It was going to be in person, and someone got sick with COVID, so it was virtual. And they were really impressed with her community service. They were really impressed because she was a member, but then she started working at the Boys and Girls Club. And she started doing a bunch of different things, and they were really impressed with the giving back. And I know sometimes we don't value community service because we think that's free labor. You know, you got me working, and they can have you doing some hard work, you know, but you're making so many connections. And you're going to need recommendations. You're going to need letters of recommendation. I don't know a scholarship. I don't know a scholarship that I've ever met that didn't ask for a letter of recommendation. And they want people other than your parents, other than a family member. You're going to need a teacher, guidance counselor, principal, community member, church member. You're going to need someone to write these. And usually they want 2 or 3. So you got to ask for those early. That's another thing you got to do. Ask for those. We didn't talk about that, but you got to ask for those early.
Come on, give all of you just giving all tonight. Come on, y'all don't even need my course. This is it right here.
You have to, don't wait until the scholarship is due to say, hey, I need a letter of recommendation. Let that person know early on that you're going to need a letter. And guess what? You're going to just send that same letter to everybody. You're going to just have them send it to you via email. So it's electronic. All you got to do is send that. If you have to print it, you print it and mail it to those ones who still want hard copies in 2022. But you're going to need several. Churches have scholarships. You know, if you go to church, make sure you see if they have a scholarship at the church you attend. There are community groups who have scholarships. Organizations offer scholarships. They might not be huge, but again, $500, even $100 is going to add up. We often poo-poo this amount like, oh, it's just this amount. I don't know what just this amount is, because any little bit that you get is not coming out of my pocket, or we're not taking out a loan for it. So identify those people that you're going to need letters from early, and get them to write a letter, and so that you can have those things at the ready. Start looking for scholarships. I would say, I don't know that because a lot of scholarships don't even want a kid until they're like a junior or senior. You can't even apply for someone until they're a junior or senior. Right. You know, so I know people say start looking early, but there are so many who say junior or senior year, you must be. And then I think too, you need to understand, even if you don't get all the money the freshman year, you can continue to apply for scholarships. And that's where I'm at with my daughter, is that we still owe a little bit of money. So I have to pay out of pocket for a little bit, but she can still apply through her department. You can apply through, you know, to other scholarships through school. I don't think when we talked, she had received this room and board scholarship that she found that it's going to cover like half of her room and board. So that's
awesome. Congratulations to her. I love that. No, we didn't talk about that.
Yeah, I think that happened after you and I talked, and I was like, oh,
that's awesome. Yes, I love that. Congratulations.
Now, I think what parents have to understand too is they're dividing that money up per semester. So, you know, you're like, oh, I got all this money. Well, they divide it up per semester. So it's not like all the 6,000 goes to one semester. No, it's going to be 3,000 per semester. So, and that's another thing that maybe sometimes people don't realize. But yeah, you can apply for scholarships throughout your time in school. And once you get in school, you may find out about other things. I did that when I was at Ball State. I found out about scholarships when I was in school, and I applied for them. And that helped me to be able to graduate with just a little bit, just from summer school. Because summer school, you didn't have any assistance. You had to take out a loan to go to summer school. But you know, those are little things I think make such a huge difference. So many parents get panicky about it, and it is a panicky situation. I was panicky too. Then I had to remember, okay, we've been here. And I also had a timeline in my head, like, we haven't heard from this scholarship by now. You're about to go to school. Well, they don't know she's going early, you know, and money will still roll in July, August, you know, it will still keep rolling in as, and then you just update that. You just let the school know, and they'll update everything so to reflect that in your financial aid package.
I love this. I mean, you have just hit about 50 things that I could go off of. So I'm going to try to contain myself. But yes, ditto to just like everything you're saying. One thing that people hear me say all the time, I got the majority of my scholarships when I was already in college. We kind of got a late start on the process. I didn't really know what I was doing. We were trying to figure it out, but I didn't get my first scholarship until February of my senior year. And then my second scholarship was in May of my senior year. It was just two, but I kept on applying. I did not stop applying for scholarships and trying to win scholarships when I was at my school. And then to your point about all of the departmental scholarships and all of the school specific scholarships, there are so many that are just reserved for those students. And the more you're involved on campus, the better relationships you have with your professors and your staff and your counselors and your financial aid office, the more opportunities you'll naturally start to hear about. So again, even though I wasn't, like I didn't graduate top of my class in school, I was very involved on my campus and I made those relationships. And every time, this is like a key pro tip for anybody going to school. For every class I was in, I'll always go sit in the second row. After the first class, I will go and introduce myself to my professor and I will let them know, hey, my name is Brianna, super excited to be in your class this semester. Not a suck up type of thing, but because I see the importance of having those relationships. And when you have those relationships, you just hear about so many more opportunities. And I got so confident speaking to adults and speaking to older people because of those community services that community service I was involved in as a high school student. I just was always involved in so many things. And so I got those letters of recommendation and I got to hear about different opportunities I may not have heard about otherwise, because my mom made that investment of just getting me involved. Maybe my parents didn't make that monetary investment, as far as paying my college tuition, but they made it in so many other ways. And just, throughout my childhood, just getting me involved, and so that absolutely paid off in the long run. One thing I want to touch on, you said it a while back, but staying on top of your students. So I know you said you put your daughter's deadlines in your phone, and then your son didn't run to write an essay, but you stayed on top of him and you made him go and talk to the counselor at his school to make sure she turned in the application. So can you talk about, and you're getting questions too. So I see all your questions coming through, and I will absolutely make sure we get those questions answered. But I do want you to answer this one first. Or can you just speak about staying on top of your students when your students aren't motivated, when your students don't feel like doing it, when your students just expect you to do all the work, or they're like, well, mom's going to back me up. Mom and dad are going to take out the loans. And so if I don't feel like applying for scholarships today, I just won't. So can you speak to that a little bit?
Oh, take out a loan. Oh gosh. Stay on top of them because they're still kids. Even though and my son was the most responsible. My daughter not so much, but don't tell her I said that. But my son was super responsible. But they're still young people. They're still learning. Your brain is not even fully developed yet until you're in your 20s. So there's a lot of things they don't see and they don't realize. And for my daughter, she's definitely one who kind of has to learn things the hard way. Not super hard way, but you tell her, she's like, yeah, okay. So my son's like, I'm going to listen because I think She's like, I think I know it. I know better than you, so I'm gonna try it my way. And then when her way was like, okay, I should have listened. But we do this every time. When are you gonna figure it out that I got you? But like I was telling you before we started the live stream, so many kids today, money's not real to them. It's all electronic. They may have cash here and there, but most of the time they're getting money electronically. They have debit cards, Cash App, all these different ways, and you put money in an account and they go spend it. They don't see it to understand how the difference and how fast it goes on a regular basis. They don't see $500. It's just $500 is right there in their Cash App account. It's just like, oh, that's $500. then you just go spend it. It's a different way that you think about money when you physically hold money. Like, who writes a check nowadays? These kids don't know anything about writing a check. If they had to
I
see
barely know.
if they had to see how writing a check for like 1,500 feels, and all you have is 2,000 in that
Telling
account,
you, I know, it be hurting.
they would see it a little bit better. So you have to kind of help them understand the value of this, and the value of their education. And this is helping them become better because they're invested too. It's their education. I got mine. This is not, I'm good. I'm good. So this is for you and your future, not my future. Because like I said, I'm good. I made it. So what are you going to do with yourself so you have an investment in your future? Because when we actually have some skin in the game, we care a little bit more. Once you realize, I think about my daughter and her car. It was given to her, much like my car was given to me. And my dad was talking about the other day how just like, oh, because it used to be their car, and how that car just looks so bad. I'm like, yeah, because it's the car that was given. She doesn't care. She didn't buy that car. Just like when I didn't buy my car, I was like, whatever. Now when I bought that car, I had a whole different attitude about that car.
I love it. I love
And
it.
so it's the same thing with anything. When you have invested your time and effort, you care differently. And so even if they're not there yet, once they start seeing, they gotta go to college and eat ramen. Maybe they got, you like, oh mom, I don't have deodorant. Maybe they need to feel that a little bit, just so they can say, okay, let me get myself on the ball.
Not musty. You now sending your kids out musty. No,
Well,
I
they'll learn real
love
quick when they
that.
get musty. They'll learn real quick.
I love that. And kind of you reminded me about just something I say just about taking away that option or that fallback, of sometimes I know that students aren't motivated and they don't feel like they don't have skin in the game and they just know they have that fallback. I can just speak from my own experience. I know I didn't have that fallback. Student loans weren't even something that we discussed. I knew it was going to be, we figure it out or I ain't going to school, and I knew I wanted to go to school. I knew I wanted to get my degree and become a teacher. And I had all these dreams and everything. And my parents absolutely fully supported that. But it was never a discussion of, we're going to take out all these loans or you're going to go to, all these schools. It was just figuring out what could make sense. And then I had to put in the work, I didn't know what I was doing at first. That's why I didn't have as much success at the beginning of my scholarship journey. And then I really started like figure it out. And then on top of that, I got married my junior year of the summer before my junior year of college.
Oh, wow.
So then I was out on my own. Like I was out from my parents' roof. I had a full-time school schedule. And then so I had like a little part-time job. And then my husband, he worked full-time. And I knew then it was really on me. Like, now I'm not even living in my parents' house anymore. And I have to figure it out. Like I'm a whole wife now. And so I just had that motivation and that drive to keep on making me apply for scholarships. So I think helping students identify what their motivation is, what that drive is, they have to have something, I think. And I think that's what you're saying, they have something to help them out.
Yeah. And I think you said something that just made me part of my story. So I had Deonta at 17. And I graduated from college. The year I graduated from college, he started kindergarten. So throughout his childhood, throughout his early life, he saw me in school. So he definitely, that played a role in him thinking, oh, this is what I need to do. I have to do this. And I let him know early on, look, I was on my own at 19. We moved out of my parents' home at 19. So when he was 2, so we're going on 2. So I let him know, like, look here, I had you at 17. My job is I'm a journalist. We don't make tons of money. So I'm gonna need you to get it together because you're going to school and we're gonna figure out how to pay for this and you're gonna need scholarships.
I love that.
So that was kind of our conversation early on. And he saw that I went to school and he saw that I didn't have debt like that, except for, like I said, my about $5,000 for my which is like nothing for the summer school. But he saw that, and I think that helped motivate him to go ahead and actually apply himself. And it's about applying yourself. I sound like my dad, but you have to apply yourself if you want anything out of life. And it wasn't I'm not gonna let you fail, but I'm also not gonna be your crutch, and it's that balance. It's definitely that balance of letting them do it, but that's why you have to remind them because they're still young. But I'm also not gonna do everything for you because I need for you to understand how important this is, because it's your life, it's your future.
I love that. That's beautiful. I'm just writing that down. I'm not going to let you fail, but I'm not going to be your crutch. I like that. Perfect. So some parents might be watching and they might feel like my kid's already a senior. I hear you talking about, all of the investments that you made for your kids, or the investments that I had the opportunity to participate in when I was in high school. So what would you say to the parents whose kids are already in college, or who have kids who are high school seniors already? Do you have any advice for them?
Okay, always fill out that FAFSA. It will be open in October. It opens early now. It opens in October. So you have from October till March to get it done now. So there's no excuses. Get that thing done because that's your Pell Grant. Schools need that to help determine any kind of aid for you. If you don't fill that out, and a lot of people don't, you're missing out on money. You're missing out opportunities for money. So once you fill that out, if you don't know how to fill it out, they have this thing called Super Sunday, Super Bowl
Yep.
Sunday?
Yeah, it's like Super College Sunday or
Super Gold Sunday.
Yeah,
Super Gold Sunday. They've been doing Super Gold Sunday since forever. The first year I did it for Deonta his senior year. We went his senior year. Just because you just feel like, oh, this thing is going to be so hard, and it makes you think it's so difficult. It's not. It's really not. But you can go, you do it online, and you make sure, and you do that every single year. And once you do it the first time, all they're doing is going back and filling out with the latest information. And it's really the kid that has to do it. The parent doesn't have much of a role in that FAFSA. Except for like maybe signing off and do it, but the kid doesn't. So you put that day in your phone. You remind them, hey, it's that time. Get that form in, because for you to get scholarships to your school, they're going to want that. Like again, Pell Grant. So many people qualify for Pell Grants, and Pell Grant's not going to cover the whole tuition, but a couple $1,000s per semester is going to help. $5,000 per year is going to help. So you definitely want to do that. You want to, even if you feel like you're behind, you still have the next year. You still have plenty of time to keep applying. It's not a stopping thing. I wouldn't say, oh, we didn't get any money, so we're done. No, by the time, maybe you have to figure it out for the first semester of college, or maybe the first year, but come October or so, things start opening back up. You can start applying again in December. You can start applying again January, February, March for the next year. You don't have to just think you're done because you missed out on this opportunity at this particular point in time. It's going to open back up. If you are a military veteran, see if there's any kind of discounts for you, any kind of military discounts. I was in the Army Reserves. I have an honorary discharge. I quit going. Like, I was in the reserves. I went 2 years out of the whole tenure, and I still got an honorary discharge. So I said, hey, they said something about military. I said, can I? Didn't even dawn on me for Deonta when I asked for my daughter. They were like, just give us this form. I said, I don't think I have that form, but I had this form. Sent it in. It's $2,000 off of her tuition. Hey, that's $2,000 off of her tuition.
Oh, that's right. I'm telling you, don't discount that.
I mean, it adds up. And I think what we often want is that big chunk of change We want that big scholarship that's going to take care of everything. You might have to piecemeal these things together. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with getting 5, 6, 7 scholarships to pay for it all versus that one big one, because that one big one may not be the amount, you know. And I figured $6,000 is a good scholarship. 7,000, 3,000, whatever, you know, piece that thing together. And it may take you a little bit of time to piece it together. You might have to apply. And and everyone's not going to give you a scholarship because you applied. And that was one of the things I think my daughter thought, because it just kind of fell in my son's lap the way it did. She kind of thought, oh, I applied, I'm going to get it. You know, I'm like, you don't know your competition. You know, there is competition out there. And so that's why you want to apply as many places as you can, because you don't know how many people are applying for those scholarships, and how many they have. Sometimes they only have one, sometimes they have multiple, you know, so you want to make sure you're applying everywhere.
That consistency is so key. You know, I did not get every scholarship I applied for. I did not get most scholarships I applied for. And so that consistency, that's what I hear you saying, is don't stop. Yeah, keep on going. And I did piece it together. I got $500 scholarship. I got $1,000 scholarship here. I got this little bit here, and I put it all together because there are, like you said earlier, I think at the very beginning, you have fees, you have books, I had parking pass. That was like $700 a year.
Yes.
I mean, all kinds of stuff.
They always add on these fees that they don't. Because when you go on the website and you're like tuition, and you see tuition, and then when you actually get there, and they're like, "Well, this is how much it really costs to go."
Right, absolutely.
Like, well, that was not
right. And you still have to live, like you said. You're talking about your daughter, her toiletries, all of that. Like life keeps going on, and so keep on getting that money. Keep on getting that money. Or
you have to get repairs, maybe. You know. Get your oil changed, you know, all those things you're going to have to do when you're there. So you're going to want to have as much money as you can possibly get your hands on. I think, and once kids get onto that campus and see how life is, I think that motivates them. That definitely motivates them to to get that hustle on for that money.
Yep, absolutely. This has just been amazing. I'm going to read some of these questions. Okay. So, somebody asked at the beginning, do you know the name of the book that your son gave your daughter? Do you remember that?
I'm looking on my bookshelf to see if it happens to be here. It is not here. I wish I would have got that before I started this.
If you don't know, that's fine. It's
somewhere in her room. It's somewhere. Okay. It's a scholarship book. And it actually wasn't, he got it for her like her sophomore, junior year, so it wasn't even brand new, I don't think. But it's still, the things still apply by such and such date, or this scholarship exists, like, and they give you the website. So there's no need to go buy a new book every year. Right. You go onto the website and you look at the criteria. And so I don't remember the name of the book.
And that's fine. So I'm going to give you all a couple of recommendations. So I have, just because I'm down here, so I have a couple books. These aren't all of the ones that I own. This one is a great one right here. It's from the PACE Scholarship Academy. It's called the Ultimate Scholarship Book, designed for middle and high school students. And they have another version of this one that's just for undergrad students. So this is a great one. And then I really like this one. This is my OG book. This is Scholarships, Grants, and Prizes. This is the 2020 version. But again, a lot of the awards still apply. Y'all see how thick this book is?
That might be the book.
I love this book. This one's like a dictionary. Like,
it was a book thick like that.
Yep. I think you talked about on the phone when we talked a couple weeks ago about like just her going through the book, and she's just like, or I think both of you together, you just consistently like going through the pages. Can you talk about that just for a sec?
Yeah, I flipped through some pages. I mean, it's a lot. That book is huge, but I would go through and flip, and I would highlight, and I would, turn the corner down and fold it in. And say, okay, here's one thing you should apply for. Have you thought about this one? And then she would go through it, and I kind of will go from the front. Then one day I would come into the middle, then they would come into the back.
I like that.
And I didn't exhaust that book by any stretch of the imagination. So I know there's still money in that book that we can go back to and apply for.
Absolutely.
For sure.
I love that. I love it. So another question that we had is, you said the Hudson and Holland Scholarship, correct? Yes. Somebody was just making sure they got the name.
Yeah, and that was something that IU
Yep.
just automatically gave to minority students. And it's a whole big program. So it wasn't anything he applied for, they selected students.
Perfect. Somebody asked, so you're saying students should do their own FAFSA? Is that what I'm hearing?
They kind of have to.
Mhm.
They kind of, I mean, you have to do it together, but you don't have much to do with that. And then that next year, they're just going to get the email to update it and stuff. And it wasn't like I was prepared to sit here and just spend hours, and I was like, oh, this is all about
It's
you.
quick. Literally, it goes so fast. I mean, it's just a bunch of demographic information. It's not like you have to write any essays or you got to just pull all of this paperwork. They do ask for your tax returns, but it's nice because you can automatically upload your tax returns.
Yes,
if you put them online,
that
like it automatically generates them. It's so easy.
I think that's all. That was all my part, was just putting in my tax information data so that the IRS can transport it into that. And then I was done. I think that was all my part. And it wasn't like that. It didn't always used to be this way.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I know. They make it easy, y'all. They make it easy. Even, I mean, I graduated almost 10 years ago from college. It ain't been 10 years. I started college almost 10 years ago. I was like, hold on, I'm not that old yet. But it's even easier than when I was going. Like, this technology is like just constantly updating, so it just keeps getting easier and easier.
Easier and easier, because like Deonta and Imani are 13 years apart. Mm-hmm. And so the FAFSA I remember for him was nothing like the FAFSA for her. Yeah. This thing is done. And also, really quickly, 21st century scholars. Yes. If your kid is in middle school up into 8th grade, you can sign up for 21st century scholars. And that is an opportunity for your child to go to a state school and get it paid for. Mm-hmm. So many people aren't signing up for that. Yeah. They're literally begging people to sign up for 21st century scholars. Absolutely. And they're saying that they are not even putting a dent in the market of the demographics, especially when it comes to Black kids. Yeah. Our students are not signing up for it. And there are requirements. There is an income requirement. Yeah. You sign up now, but then they'll actually check your income and stuff your senior year. But you do have to maintain a C average, say you're not going to smoke or drink, do certain things. But that's free money that so many kids are leaving on the table. Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. So if you're in Indianapolis and your child is still in middle school, absolutely apply for that 21st century scholarship. It is incredible. So it's for state schools, and then even for private schools, they give a discount for 21st century scholars. So get on that. Another question, and if you have any more questions as we're wrapping this up, definitely go ahead and type them in now. We've had people hanging with us the whole time, so keep asking any more last questions so we can get those answered. But one other question said, let me go back to it. Do they apply the scholarship right away? Like when students get scholarships, do they apply the scholarship right away? It just depends on the scholarship. So sometimes if the student's already enrolled in school, like if they're already a college student, then they may automatically apply it. If your kid is still a high school senior, hasn't even chosen a school yet, then once they're enrolled in the school, then they'll send the money over, and then some scholarships are given in the form of a check. Like I had some scholarships that were directly deposited into my bursar's account. Sometimes they gave me a physical paper check that I want to go deposit. Do you have any other experiences with that you want to share? No, I was going to say, it just kind of depends on the scholarship organization. Some of them send the money directly to the school, and you have to sign a form for them. They have to make sure you're actually going to school. Yeah, they want to make sure absolutely. And some is it's yours. You want it, no attachment, cut you a check, you figure it out, because sometimes they're thinking this is also going to be to help you live. Yeah, seriously. Yep. So it just kind of depends on the organization. Absolutely. All right. Let's see. Any more questions? We got a couple more minutes. This has been absolutely incredible as people are thinking of their last minute questions. I love hearing everything that you're saying, because there are things that I say all the time. I'm always telling students and pushing it. People probably get tired of hearing me and watching my videos, but I think it's good to hear
the things that I'm saying coming from somebody else too, you know, somebody who has a child who's gone through this process, and you can speak to it from a different perspective. I feel like we're saying the same things, but you're coming at it at a different angle. And so I love it. I mean, I have just like all kind of notes on here. That's why I love doing these interviews. I just always gain so much, you know.
Thank you.
Do you have anything else that you would like to add as we're wrapping up? I haven't seen any more questions come through, but I'll give you an opportunity to add anything before we close up this evening.
Just a reminder that FAFSA is so important. Don't neglect that. That's the Pell Grant, and other money to come your way. 21st Century Scholars. This is, again, is free money that no one is applying for.
Yeah, seriously.
So just those things. I mean, and that right there, 21st Century Scholar, that's your whole 4 years. Done.
Yeah, right.
Done.
Yeah. Seriously.
You know, you don't even have to struggle and figure this out. It's done. So
Absolutely.
just those things I think we're missing, and just be an advocate for your child. Don't be afraid to ask questions, approach people, talk to the school about scholarships. You know, oftentimes there's networks, people tell each other about scholarship.
Yep.
You know, don't be afraid to be an advocate and look for this money, because it's out there.
I love that. I have a few comments. People are saying this has been great nuggets. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Somebody said this has been amazing. Thank you for sharing. Somebody said thank you so much for all the information. This has probably been one of the most popular interviews that I've done, because people relate to you. I work, the vast majority of people that SheEdits works with are mothers, you know, mothers who are advocating for their kids and trying to invest in their kids. And so, I mean, that's like most of my population. So I think people can really relate and connect to you. So this has been absolutely incredible. I have just thoroughly enjoyed my time with you. Thank you again so much. Somebody else just said great information. Thank you. They're still coming in. This has been awesome. I'm gonna love all these comments. You guys have been great. Thank you for staying on here for so long. I just really appreciate it. I'm going to go ahead and end the recording and stop the stream, and then I'll, you know, formally say goodbye after that. But thank you again once more. Thank you everybody for watching. I hope you all have a great evening. If you need any scholarship assistance, y'all know where to find me. You can email us at info@sheeditsllc.com. We offer the full range of scholarship services. So we have coaching, we have courses, we have a full library of interviews just like this. So interviews with other people who have either gotten scholarships, whose kids have gotten scholarships, or who work in the scholarship space. We have a full scholarship course, a full essay course, everything that you need to be successful on your scholarship journey, we provide it. So definitely hit us up. Check out the website if you want to take our free masterclass. If you're interested in the full program, that's on our website as well. But thank you again, Oseye, and have a great evening, everybody. I'm going to go ahead and stop this now. Let's stop.